Hi, I'm Brad Dunn, Key Relationship Manager at Westbridge Funds, and I'm joined here today by Damian Collins, Chairman. Hi, Damian.
Hi, Brad.
Today, we're going to be talking about the commercial market outlook, and so I'd like to start by talking around everyone's favourite, industrial.
Well, Brad, industrial's been certainly a very strong asset class that we've focused on for many years, and in 2022 we did also purchase a substantial number of properties. And the reason is that we're very confident in the long run outlook for industrial, primarily driven by the e-commerce revolution that we've seen that's been sped up by COVID. We're seeing continually strong demand from tenants looking for warehousing and logistics space. And I was actually listening to a podcast recently. Amazon said that even in their world, they're still only about 15% of the depth of retail. There's still 85% of retail is still done through the retail store. So in our opinion, the logistics and distribution market has a very strong road ahead. So we've been very much focused on it. But having said that, there are also plenty of other asset classes that we do like as well.
Okay, like?
Well, neighbourhood retail is certainly a very strong one for us. We believe that for a lot of the products that are out there in the market, that will actually be the distribution channel. So the supermarkets, yes, they do have home delivery, but their ideal model is click and collect and still pick up from that local supermarket, particularly in low density countries like Australia, where shipping from a warehouse a long way is very expensive for them. So the other good thing about neighbourhood centres is that generally got a number of specialties on them as well, and they're also generally low overheads. You've got outdoor parking, you don't have a lot of indoor security costs, air conditioning costs, so they're cheap for the tenant, and that's really critical to keep those tenants' occupancy costs down. So that also means the same in large format retail, very similar. That's also the distribution play for a lot of those players in that space, and similar, very low cost of the rent compared to the turnover, and they're two areas that we like also.
Okay, so going back to that, when you say neighbourhood shopping centres, you're not referring to the big malls, you're talking just 6 to 8 smaller tenancies with an anchor tenant, or?
Yeah, generally they're anchored by a supermarket, your Coles, Woolworths, IGA or something similar like that. So it's a neighbourhood centre where people go to quite regularly for their food needs, and on top of that, you've got specialties, could be hairdressers, bakeries, news agents, those sort of things that serve the local community. That's why they're called neighbourhood centres. They service the local neighbourhood.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Now, I know another area that a lot of our investors are interested in is medical. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, we do hold some medical assets, and we continually look for good quality assets in that space, because it's certainly an area that's non-discretionary spending. People, when they're sick, they still generally will go to a doctor, and particularly with bulk billing, albeit not as strong as it used to be, people often even aren't paying for it anyway. So medical services are not very subjective to fluctuation with the economic outlook and what's happening, so we do like those. And also, given the ageing population we've got and all the technological advances in medical servicing and medical technology, we just see it as a huge growth area. They're hard to find good quality ones and find at fair prices, but it's certainly an area that we're also still looking at. And probably the other area that's been off a lot of people's radar, but we're certainly looking in this space cautiously, is the office market. Now, people thought that COVID was going to change the world, and it has certainly changed office. And there was all this talk about people, you can go work anywhere and never come to the office. Well, the reality is that you can't have a company culture without having people together in face-to-face. Virtual world is certainly helpful and means you can work from home some of the time, but we're still quite optimistic about the office market. Now, there will be some pain in the adjustment. There will be companies who will drop some space, but overall we think the office tenants might drop maybe 10, maximum 15% in total. So we see some softening a little bit in the office market, depending where around the country. Some markets are already quite soft anyway. And the office is not dead. It's still here for the long term. There'll still be lots of demand. It's just about picking the right asset in the right market at the right stage of the cycle.
And the right price.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess there's one overlying factor across all these different sectors that seems to be at the top of everyone's mind at the moment, and that's interest rates and inflation. What's your thoughts around that?
Well, we certainly saw that big spike in inflation, and roughly 7%, maybe 8% it might even peak at. We're yet to know, and we'll find that out soon. But look, we're coming to the end of that very large peak. A lot of those things that came through in that particular space are dissipating. So I think we are going to see CPI come back into that normal range over the next 2 or so years. And the other thing about commercial property, depending on the lease as well, you can be hedged against inflation anyway. So in our diversified 4 fund, for example, more than half of the rents in that fund are linked to CPI anyway. So that does give you some insulation, even if we did go back to a higher interest rate, a higher inflation for longer term. As part of your leasing strategy, you can have components of CPI linked to that, so it'll give you some insulation against that. So overall, there are ways you can hedge against inflation in commercial property, but fundamentally, we're quite optimistic that we've seen the worst of it, or seeing the worst of it now, and interest rates rises are pretty much, we've seen most of those, and things will come back to normality over the next 2 years.
Yeah, I believe I'm seeing the same with all the investors. They're seeing more optimism. They're seeing that there is an end in sight, that things are going to get under control. They're buying less iceberg lettuces, but other than that, they're fine. Look, if anyone has any questions about anything we've discussed today or would like any further information, you're welcome to hop onto our website, or alternatively, give anyone in the Key Relationships team a call. We'd be happy to discuss. Thank you.